Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV. We're back to talk about the one and only Sister Wives. We are now at season 19, episode 6. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the Red Lipstick Club. Hit the subscribe button. We talk about everything Sister Wives, some other things too. But right now we are very Sister Wives focused. But definitely join the party here. If you're coming back, welcome back everybody. Hit the like button. Help me to share my content. Thanks for joining me. You guys, I'm not going to lie to you. For the first segment of this episode, I was about to be asleep. It was becoming increasingly difficult for me to pay attention. And I don't know how I feel about this, but I need them to stop wasting our time in segment 1. It was like, I don't care. I don't need 3 episodes of you talking about how miserable you are about Christmas. I'm tired of hearing about Christmas. That's all they talked about. They talked about the solo Christmases that they were all having. Robin and Kody and the fam on one section, Christine and her kids in another, minus Gwen, who I'm thinking maybe was with B's family. And then Janelle went out to North Carolina with Savannah. And then I think this was the year that the boys were all together. And I think they might have either they did something at Garrison's house or they went to Vegas and were with Logan. I feel like I remember some photos of the boys having like a holiday together, and I'm thinking this might have been that holiday. But needless to say, they were kind of all spread out. I don't think it's anything special. I do say that I'm glad that Meri was with friends this holiday and she wasn't on her own. One good thing about Meri kind of being isolated from the family there for a while is she was really able to make friends. And I remember Kody calling that out and being like, well, why can she make friends with all these people and have good relationships with all these other people, but she can't have them with their sister wives? Well, guess what, Kody? It's because you were abandoning her. It's because she was having to compete with these women. And Christine kind of alludes to that when it comes to polygamy later in this episode. So it just shows me why it's so much easier for them to have friendships with women outside of polygamy, especially women that you're married to the same man with, right? Um, this is where also Christine's telling the family about David for the first time, that it's actually her boyfriend and it's serious. I thought it was really cute that Truly, not cute, but I thought it was important that Truly thought that David was honest, or not, yeah, and that she got along with him. I think she said honest. Is that what the word she used? Something like honest or a good person. She thought he was a good person. She got along with him. That's key because in that short amount of time, that's the impression that David left on Truly. I'm not going to say that Christy made the best decisions on how fast she was moving, but I will say, as we're finding out, she made a good decision in the man. So, was it quick? Yes. As we see Isabel and Peyton bring up their concerns with that, it's probably the only issue I had with Christine when it came to her situation dating David. Is to me, Isabel specifically has ample reason to be concerned about the pace in which this is happening. Keep in mind, Isabel is only a sophomore in college, right? So when Kody and Christine were going through that really incredibly tough patch where she was leaving Kody, Isabel was like her only touch point to like tell everybody. She was like basically inundating this young lady with all the stress and strife and all the terrible things that were going on in her marriage. Remember Isabel saying she wanted separation because it was like she was overwhelmed by basically being her mom's support animal. Like that's kind of, she was basically having to be an in-house therapist. So she saw her mom break down. She saw all the neglect. So I think she's looking into this and saying, oh God, mom, I hope you're not just trying to find someone to replace me. Now, as we see, Christine's doing fine. But for Christine to, in my opinion, not really acknowledge how serious, not just serious this was, but not acknowledge exactly why Isabel of all people would be concerned. Just felt it just felt a little irresponsible to me. And I thought it was a little bit condescending too, because when Peyton brings up in this segment, and that might be later, I'll talk about that a bit later, but Peyton brought up a little point too that I thought Christine kind of had a condescending moment surrounding that. I will say in between this point when they're talking about David, Tony continues to be very annoying to me, and he brings up that David talks about boomer things. And it just shows how out of touch Tony is with like the world and reality. It's like he cannot hold an adult conversation at all. It's you can see his immaturity showing with this. It didn't even it not even on Truly. Did you hear Truly saying, "Oh, he sounds like an old guy when he talks." Truly's like what, 14? So for that to be what registers with, I don't know if he's trying to be comic relief or what he thinks he's doing, but I just think it clearly demonstrates his maturity, his lack of maturity. He is eons behind, but it also shows that McKelty for a long time was also behind. So when you put those two together, I just see the gap. I see the gap with those two. And I see why people were kind of looking at them sideways when they decided to get married, because they're both of their maturity levels are delayed. I do love you guys, Mary talking about the 80s. The 80s has, even the 90s, but the 80s especially has just some of the greatest music of all time. This has been the only redeeming point of Kody I've ever witnessed, was when he was talking about the 80s and the music videos and everything that was amazing about being Gen X. I'm like right on the cusp. I'm what you call a zennial. So I'm not Gen X and I'm not a young millennial. I'm a zennial. So I'm the one that was still playing outside until the street lights came on. I was still drinking out of hoses. I still lived the bulk of my teenage existence without access to cell phones or the internet. The Oregon Trail players, so to speak. So I'm like right at the cusp of there. So I understand that connection people have to what we call a simpler time in life. And that was kind of endearing and fun. And I did like that. Okay, sorry guys, my like ADHD is kicking in. That's how I had to stop myself from moving forward to this Peyton moment. Forgive me, but I wanted to get back to how the conversation kind of jumped around, right? They had those little happy moments in between, and then they go back and Peyton basically um talks to his mom and says, "Hey, like mom, I don't want you to think it's a bad thing that we're questioning the speed of it, and you shouldn't take this as bad." And Christine was like, "Okay, good, well, I'm gonna do what I want to do." And I thought that was a little bit of a condescending comment to them. I'm like, Christine, your kids are all in this current space and time. They're also dealing with their own level of abandonment when it comes to Kody. So to think of your mom getting with another man that also could maybe pull your mom away and make it so that not only are they abandoned by their father, but they're also abandoned by their mom. You have to realize that Peyton and Isabel do not have spouses. McKelty has somebody that she has Tony. She has somebody. Aspen has Mitch. They both have a partner. So they're not in a position to feel the full weight of abandonment when you are a single person by yourself and you've already had one parent abandon you. And now you're in a position where you're like, oh my God, if my mom gets this new boyfriend or new husband, is she going to abandon us too? And I don't know if that really checked in for Christine, that it's like, Christine, it's not that you're just divorced. It's that you've had years of abandonment. Your kids have had years of abandonment, and now it's even worse that you're divorced and they're still abandoned by that parent and you've moved on to someone else. I don't know if she really thought about that. And I just thought it was a little condescending and irresponsible on how she responded to Peyton, who I felt was being very adult and gracious in that moment to her. I just think she just did not acknowledge that enough. And I could see maybe them having some friction surrounding that, because it seems to me like she really just, even Janelle does this, they really at times overlook what their kids are saying because they think, well, they're kids. And I'm sorry, but their kids were these kids have been spitting some hot fire. Gabe last week, and frankly Peyton and Isabel this week, really stood out to me as seeing their parents' relationships from the outside in and having to deal with the level of abandonment that occurred with Kody, and having some moms that tend to be a little bit emotionally unattached or delayed or unaware. You guys let me know what you think about in the comments. How do you think Christine handled that communication with Peyton? Let me know what you think about my comments about that. All right, Cody's talking about PDA. I don't want to talk about him kissing Robin. That's gross. I do think that kids need to see their parents being affectionate with each other, and I think it's really healthy for Christine to do that. But like I said, it is moving at light speed. With that being said, I will say that, like, seeing her reaction from Christine to feeling like loved and protected by somebody, I think that's really special. And I'm really happy for her that she found someone that made her feel that way. So, despite how I think she didn't necessarily handle this appropriately with her kids when responding to how they felt about the pace in which the relationship was occurring, I am so thankful that the man she decided to fall head over heels in love with this fast actually was a great guy and was a great decision. So that doesn't always work out that way. I'm thankful for Christine and her children that they did not have to deal with the opposite of what this could have been. That's fantastic. All right, y'all, moving on. I think this is segment 3. I feel like that first section was like 1 and 2 together. It doesn't really matter. It was kind of a blur. But moving on to segment 3, Meri and Kody, and I call it Meri and Kody, dot, the end. I didn't think this was going to happen, y'all. First off, this is weird how they set this up. They basically set it up like it was going to start with Meri and Kody. Then they randomly jumped to Maddie and Caleb and Janelle, which I was like, okay, this is interesting. And them talking about getting a piece of property together, and where they were going to decide to settle. Was it going to be Montana? What they were going to do with that, and how they didn't really want to be big time farmers, right? They just want a little piece of property, a few chickens or something, maybe a horse, who knows? A little garden, just something simple. And now we've seen that they've started a flower farm, which is perfect. Look where they live in North Carolina. That's like a perfect idea. I love it. And I love flowers. And how can you not be excited to look out your front window, or be off your porch and see beautiful flowers. So I love the decision that they made. But you guys, 22 minutes into this episode, I finally got a WTF moment. 22. And hey, this is where it's at. Put it in there now.
Have the property in Flagstaff, Coyote Pass. We're going to split it 4 ways. And the last I talked to Kody, he says he doesn't have his part of the money to pay off the property. I have my part, and it's just sitting there. It's really up to Meri, Robin, Kody, and I to pay it off.
Y'all, we have suspected this. We have thought this. We have been in chat rooms about this. Yahoo, Facebook Messenger groups about this. We have watched other reactioners and put our comments in this. We've been on live streams. The amount of guesswork we've done behind this, the amount of Ouija board findings we were trying to get to this conclusion that the reason Kody's been jacklegging around about Coyote Pass is he doesn't have the money. He's broke. He's broke. He doesn't have the money. He's broke, y'all. He's broke. This man's broke. He has been dragging these women around. He has been running his mouth. He has been measuring land on property he doesn't even have the money to pay for. He doesn't have the money. Y'all, he doesn't have the money. Did you hear? I just want to make sure you heard me. I wanted to make sure you heard me say this man does not have the money to pay his part. So he's going back and forth. Oh my God. I want to just like bust out laughing, y'all. He doesn't have the money. He's been trying to blame all this on everybody else. That's why he didn't want to see plans from Janelle. That's why he didn't want to see any of these things. That's why he's going back and forth with her on whether or not this would work and not work, because he's never had the money. And I don't know, y'all, if it's been gambling, this man's fake working. I don't know if he's been hiding assets and that's why he's telling Janelle he doesn't have the money. But baby, when they talked about she needs to get a lawyer, get a lawyer. I cannot wait till that comes, y'all. Oh my God. I cannot wait until the Janelle Meri tag team. When I tell you that's going to be primetime television, this man does not have the money. Unbelievable, y'all. Woo. Anyway, Janelle talks about how he's been weighing her down for years. Once she got to Vegas, she decided, I'm not waiting on him to do anything anymore. Great decision, Janelle. Sounds to me like he has weighed down a lot of you guys with his excuses, and sounds like he's just an excuse maker. And he's bad with money. There you go. Okay, right before segment 4, everybody, this is when Kody decides to go to Meri's, and he says he needs to clear stuff up with Meri. So we're gonna move on to segment 4. You guys, this is cute. It again, they keep like prolonging this Meri Kody talk, probably because it was gonna have all the good WTF moment bombshells in it. So now I got to go back to David and Christine. Listen, I think they're cute and all, but I don't care. I don't care about them anymore. I've already seen a whole wedding special. I don't care. Put them in one segment and be done with that at this point. I know it's really cute. I do like to see how cute and flirty is, Christine is when she sees him. Um, I think it was kind of cute that he was a little uncomfortable in front of the camera at first. They talk about being soulmates. That's her unicorn, blah, blah. I like that he opens the door for her for a date. And there we go. Let's move on to the juicy stuff. That was cute, Christine. I don't care. Sorry. I care, but I don't. I want to talk about y'all, Meri and Kody. Can we say awkward AF? This conversation was so awkward. This man was saying things that I'm like, there's no possible way he's saying this to her in person. Like, he can't possibly think that this is a normal conversation to have. He can't possibly think that she'd walk away from this feeling happy or satisfied with what he was telling her. This was insane, you guys. And that's why we're going to pop in WTF moment number 2 right here.
Well, don't blame me for not loving you. I was doing my duty. Blame yourself if I don't love you, okay? When I'm in love with a woman, that's her fault. So what happens if I'm not in love with a woman? Is that just my fault?
Oh my God. This man said, don't blame me. Don't blame me for not loving you. Blame yourself. It's you. He was doing a duty. Blame yourself, though. So blame yourself if he wanted to spoil you and take care of you and dote on you and love you, but also blame yourself if he doesn't want to anymore. Either way it goes, it's you. His only function in life is to be of duty, and I guess maybe service. Those are his only duties in life. His only contribution to this is someone of duty and service. So therefore, if you make him fall in love with you, if you make him want to dote on you, if you make him want to buy you jewelry, then hey, that's your fault that you did that. And congratulations. But also if you made him not want to do those things, well, hey, that's also your fault. I don't even know if that's considered gaslighting. It's like a quadruple gaslight. I I didn't even know this level of gaslighting could exist. I I have dated some manipulative people in my life. I think Kody might be one of the most manipulative people I've ever seen. Because he really thinks he makes sense. He really thinks this is normal. He was saying it with his whole chest. He sounded like the devil was coming out of him in some of these confessionals. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's a little extra testosterone running through him. I I don't know, y'all. It is red pill movement like to the nth degree. It was terrifying. Meri's saying she doesn't want to place blame. Place blame, Meri. Place it. It belongs there. You gave him the opportunity to go up to the church, state his case. He didn't want to. So to try to save face, he's going to come over here and talk crazy to you and try to get on camera you confessing that actually it was your fault too, that you guys have equal blame. So he can send this video to the person that called him from the church and say, see, look, she took equal blame. It wasn't me. I didn't abandon her. This was equal decision. We both came to this decision. Are you kidding? Like, that's how delusional he is he thinks he can even manipulate that system. A system he's trying to manipulate, a system he doesn't even believe in anymore. He doesn't even believe in the church. And he's trying to find a way to manipulate it because he can't stand the idea that somebody thinks he's not a good guy or he's not a good person. He cannot stand it. That he, not even that he's not a good person, he can't stand them to believe that he is a failure and he failed at polygamy. He does not want that stain tarnishing him. And it's too late. There's 19 seasons worth of staining, my guy. You can't get rid of that from one conversation with Meri trying to convince her to take more accountability than she needs to. We all watched for season after season you abandoning this woman. We watched it. Everybody saw it. Everybody. Y'all, that was so crazy to me. So with that being said, I'm going to put a little mic drop moment just for Meri because she deserves it. Put a Meri mic drop right there.
He failed. But if you didn't want to fail, maybe you shouldn't have married the wrong person 1 or 2 or 3 times. Nobody won.
Meri said, you married the wrong person. Not 1, not 2, but apparently 3 times. You failed not 1, not 2, but 3 times. You're a failure. You can't talk your way out of it, Kody. I'm sorry. That's why you get the special call. Okay, we're gonna have some fun. We got another WTF moment because this segment was lit. It was litty. So here we go. WTF moment number 3. Put it here.
Why'd you move so quickly on it then?
Quickly?
Okay, y'all. Why'd you move so quickly? Quickly? Is 10 years quickly? I mean, she kind of sat on this for over a decade. Was that quickly? You weren't sleeping with the woman for like over a decade. So when you finally abandon her to the point where you were only speaking to her on holidays, you think that she moved quickly? Okay, Kody. That, y'all, that was comical. Then he keeps using this statement, you can choose, but I cannot. Well, you chose to abandon her. So actually you did have a choice. You didn't have to abandon her. You could have chosen to say, you know what? This marriage isn't going to work. I think you understand why, and I think we both played a part in this. But by the time you got to where you were at, that was just full on abandonment. It was no, because you were stringing her along. It's quite different if you weren't doing that, but you were stringing her along in the hope and belief that this was going to work out and you were going to invest and try to make it better. You never did it. You never made any of the effort to do that. Every ounce of you was poured into what we call your soulmate, Robin. So what was left for Meri? What was left for any of your wives? Oh my God, he's trying to play the victim. And then he says, oh, he didn't want to be with, he didn't want to marry Janelle. He didn't love her. He didn't want to marry Christine. I'm like, so this entire time you've been lying to Janelle saying you want to be with her, you loved her, you wanted a relationship with her, when in fact you're telling us, no, actually you didn't. So what is it? Were you lying then or are you lying now? At some point you were lying. And I have a sneaky suspicion you're lying now to save face because all these women left you and they don't care and they're thriving without you. So I'm going to go with you're lying now. That's what it's giving. It's giving you're lying now. Oh my God. All right, y'all. Segment 5 popped up. Here we go. This is my last WTF moment of this episode. It's number 4. Pop that one in right here.
Or whatever.
I wish I wouldn't have ever married her. I married a woman that I just didn't love so much that I wanted to serve her. And then because whatever I did was never enough.
Okay. Kody says he wished he would have never married Meri. Never loved her. Wish he never married her. And I think at this point, you guys, it is clearly an opportunity to try to discredit Meri as a woman, as a wife, trying to diminish her worth. And then he says how he didn't struggle, with Meri or Christine. I mean, sorry, Christine or Janelle, but I think he continues to fail to realize neither one of those women were dealing with infertility issues. The women that I know that have dealt with infertility issues, I mean, it hits you to your core. And for a lot of women that are really dead set on being moms, right? Like they've kind of tied their worth, their futures to being moms. To then have infertility occur can be one of the most devastating situations. It'll also have you questioning your womanhood. Am I good enough? Um, you know, will I never be able to give my husband kids? Am I now preventing him from being a father? So for that to be the circumstance in which Meri was in, and then for you to bring in two more women and they just get pregnant like that, I can't imagine the emotional distress that Meri was going through. I cannot imagine. And Kody seems to have completely forgotten and is completely selfishly oblivious to that case. I wouldn't be shocked if Meri in that time period, especially coming from that church where your worth is really tied to how many children you can have and being a wife, right? I cannot imagine emotionally, mentally where Meri was at. I wouldn't be shocked if she had a very high level of depression surrounding that situation. And how people demonstrate depression can differentiate from person to person. Sometimes it can come off as anger. Sometimes people are sad. Sometimes people just stop caring about the things around them. Um, you never know. So, just in that moment, hearing him say that, just my heart went out to Meri because I really believe he has completely forgotten the fact that this woman was dealing with infertility issues and you brought in back to back wives while she was dealing with that. Wake up, Kody. It was just insane to me. He also brings up how, well, he didn't want the church to feel this way about them because in the church, if you're seen as someone that's discarding wives, you can't marry again. Kody, why would you need to marry again? Number one, you said you don't believe in that in the church anymore. Like you don't believe in the religion. I haven't heard you talk anything about the religion. You're not into it anymore. Number two, when did you say you were going to do polygamy again? So are you looking for a new wife? Because I haven't heard you speak anything about that. So now I'm like, are we going to get a new wife? Are we going to get him dating or courting somebody this season? Because why would that even be a topic of discussion for you? I thought you're monogamous now. Why would you need to marry again in that church? Unless you were thinking about doing polygamy again. And as Christine says, if Robin's your soulmate, I wouldn't want to be a woman brought into that. I wouldn't want to be a second to that. Unless I was going to come in and then all of a sudden I was the main soulmate, and then in which case Robin would experience that. I think that's the only way Robin would actually get what's going on is she'd have to experience that. But I don't know if she'd let that happen. So I just thought that was very odd that he would even bring that up. He's also really gross. He talks about effing and like have that being fighting, and this just creates nothing but orgasms. I'm like, what? He's so crude. He's so crude for no reason. I'm telling y'all now, it's this whole manosphere red pill movement. Uh, that's how it's just like over the top toxic masculinity. It's just really gross and vile for no reason. I'm just like, Robin, how are you attracted to this? Like, oh my god. He lacks complete empathy. He's a complete narcissist. I mean, I know the man hasn't been diagnosed, but I mean, it's pretty clear. He he felt the need to tell Meri that he married the wrong person. Like she needs to hear that. Like he just had to come over and make sure she knew. He just had to put the nail in the coffin that she knew when it was all said and done he married the wrong person. That's so crazy. One thing, moving on, y'all, this is what I talked about earlier where I said Christine would bring up a point um, that would connect back. And Christine says that there is no threat when she's dating David because there is no polygamy. And she had never thought about the fact that she would look at polygamy as a threat, look at the women as a threat. And it's like that never connected for her before. That polygamy would be a threat. But I think like ultimately Kody was just never built for polygamy. He's not the man built for it. And I also think if it wasn't done under like religious guys, like where it's like if you don't do this you're not going to go to heaven or blah blah blah, or this is the way you have to live. I think if it's something that you're just making as an adult choice because you're like, you know what, I really want to live in this environment because I think for my personality, like as I've mentioned to you guys before, when I had someone proposition me for something like that, at first I was like, what? But then I thought about my personality and I said, you know what? I kind of like to have my own time. And I'm also not really a jealous person. And I feel like if you were with it in a situation where you and the other wife didn't have that combative thing between you where like you could be affectionate, you could do all these things and you're not comparing yourself. But I just think at the end of the day, I feel like it ultimately would just be next to impossible not to compare yourself. Maybe you won't do that when things are good, but when things go bad between you and the guy, I think it's almost inevitable for you to start comparing yourself to the other woman, which then creates a threat. And then it's always hanging over your head that this man could say, well, if you don't do right, I can just go to that person. Well, if what you won't do, that person can do. So that's a constant threat, even if it's not. So let me take that back because it doesn't matter what situation you're in. There is going to be a threat involved. So I really like how Christine brought that around. And I think ultimately Kody still does not acknowledge that fully, is that for these women, they lived under the constant threat that somebody else would do what they would not do, or they would deal with things that they would not deal with. And that constant threat is probably pretty exhausting. Meri says that he's being mean. I said, absolutely, Meri, he's being absolutely mean. Um, he tells her, I actually like you now, which I'm like, who cares, you know? And then he says, I didn't like you for years. I'm like, did you abandon her, Kody? You did. You didn't like her. You abandoned her. That was crazy to me. Last thing that I thought was real crazy, that he says he disregards Robin's opinion. I'm going to tell you right now, I hope Robin sees this and sees how he's speaking about her. When we all know that girl is the neck. He's the head, but she's the neck. She turns him any which way she wants to. And as soon as Meri confirmed that point, then he gets defensive and tries to say, "Oh, you don't think I'm like a man of my own thoughts? I'm making my own decisions." Well, no, Kody, actually we don't. We actually think that she has a significant influence on what you do and don't do. But see, now he's looking at that. See, it's like he can talk crazy about her, right? He can say something disrespectful, like I disregard her opinion. But if you try to call him out on the fact of the matter and make her look like the bad guy by saying that she's, influencing his thought process, oh, well, now you're the villain and he needs to defend her. It's very interesting how that works. And it makes me, it's lightweight ABUSIVE. And it makes me concerned for Robin, even though I don't really care about Robin. And I kind of feel like this is of her own making, but it still doesn't make it right. But it is a very ABUSIVE situation to say that you're disregarding her opinion on one hand, and then in the back end, acting as if you're some type of savior and a knight on a white horse for her. So you're telling her her opinion doesn't matter on this end, and then you're trying to blame everybody else for mistreating her on this, while you just disrespected her on the other end. What do y'all think about that? Hit them comments. Hit them comments. Let me know. I'm going to end this off with something sweet and lovely, and it was well, no, before then, let me talk about Meri. Let me talk about Meri taking back her power in the end of this segment, with her saying, I just wish you knew how amazing of a person I am. Meri, when I say take back and own your power, girl, baby, you did that. You weren't going to even let him get the satisfaction. Of course, he had to have the last word and saying his response would be bon voyage. I guess I'm going to say bon voyage. What the? So listen, Meri, despite his attempt to try to dim your light in that moment and diminish you and just kind of leave you completely damaged and destroyed. The way you owned that moment, I know people are trying to tell you you shouldn't be a motivational speaker, but for somebody to come out of that type of a conversation and be able to end it with, I wish you would have been able to see and recognize just how amazing I am. I'm not saying she's perfect, but that that level of growth is not easy. That is not easy to do. Not at all. All of his reactions ultimately at this point, you guys, is just surrounded by ego. And that's it. This episode was a total bore at the beginning. It was getting a D minus. And then when it got to the end, I said, as much as I don't like this man, he is good reality TV, boy. I think he loves being the villain, y'all. I'm starting to think this man really enjoys being the villain. I think he enjoys it. I don't know. You guys tell me. We're already at episode 6, so I don't know how many episodes are going to be. I guess I'll check that IMDb and see how many episodes, how many tell-alls we'll have. Those should be interesting when those come in. But I'm assuming this is going to go all the way through the holidays, because last year, keep in mind, this same time, it went all the way through the holidays. So we'll have stuff to talk about, you guys, for the next couple months, which is going to be great. It's going to be chilly outside, so we'll all be inside, snuggled up, drinking our hot cocoa. Maybe you'll put a little Kahlua in there, a little Bailey's. You tell me what you do. But you'll be right here with me, chatting about it. We need to get a live. I'm going to be working out of town, but maybe I'll have an evening this week while I'm out of town that I can jump on a live and talk with you guys about what's been happening so far up to season 6 of Sister Wives, because the conversations are serious. They're pretty juicy. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Hit that like button if you loved our content, if you had a good time with me. I hope it made you laugh a little bit. I made myself laugh because the content was like, oh my God. Hope you had a good time, though. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Come back and join us. If you don't hit subscribe and turn on the notifications, you won't know when I drop new content. You also won't know if I go live. If you guys start seeing also some shortened videos of me where I just take my top 4 moments, I'm sorry. If you don't want to watch it, that's totally okay. But I'm trying to do some long form and short form videos of this content, because some people just want to hear the 1-2 quitters, and some of you guys love to sit with me here and talk about everything. So I want to make sure I provide both for both audiences. If you want to watch both, if you just want to let play through, thank you, appreciate it. But if you decide, hey, one fits you better than the other, just know I'm going to start doing that for a little bit, just to see the reaction, to see if people prefer shorter content or longer form content. And I'll just kind of go from there. But until next time, thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.